All right, welcome back. So, if you've ever coded anything, you've probably felt this pain. You've got a bunch of variables, a name here, a number there, a true-false status over there, and they're all related, but your code has no idea. It just feels messy, right? Well, today, we're going to tame that chaos. We're going to see how C++ structs let you bundle all that data into neat, tidy packages. Let's get to it. So here's a roadmap. First, we'll really nail down why juggling loose data is a problem. Then, I'll introduce you to the struct, which is C++'s brilliant way of letting you create your own data blueprints. After that, we'll see how to actually work with these things, and then we'll get into the really good stuff, how structs and functions play together. That'll lead us right into the super important difference between pass-by-value and pass-by-reference. Okay, let's dive right in with a scenario that I guarantee you've run into. You need to keep track of, say, a student. So you make a variable for the name, one for the GPA, one for their enrollment status. And before you know it, you're just juggling all these separate little pieces of info that are floating around your program, completely disconnected. And this right here is exactly what I'm talking about. On the left, we've got our separate variables. Sure, it works, but they have no relationship to each other. The name variable has no idea it belongs to the same student as the GPA variable. We need a way to group them all into one single organized unit. And that, my friends, is where structs come in. So what's the fix? Well, allow me to introduce the hero of today's story, the C++ struct. Now, the best way to think about a struct is not as the final thing, but as the blueprint. You're not building the car yet, you're just designing the plan for what every car of that model should have. Okay, so what's the official definition? A struct is a way to group related variables together under one name. And here's the absolute key. They can be of different data types. Think about it. An array can hold a bunch of things, but they all have to be, say, integers. A struct lets you mix and match. You can have a string, a double, and a Boolean all living happily together in one package. And making one of these blueprints, it's surprisingly easy. Seriously. Step 1, use the keyword struct, and you give your new data type a name. Step 2, inside a set of curly braces, you just list out all the variables that are going to be part of this group. And finally, and trust me on this, everyone forgets this at first, you have to end the whole thing with a semicolon. And here's what that blueprint looks like in real code. We've defined a brand new type called student. Now for the rest of our program, C++ knows that anything that is a student will have a string called name, a double called GPA, and a Boolean called enrolled. But this is super important. This code right here doesn't actually create a student yet. It just defines the template. So we've got the blueprint. How do we actually, build the car? Now that we've defined what a student is, let's go ahead and create a variable of that type. Then we'll see how to get to all the little pieces of data inside it, which, by the way, we call members. Creating a struct variable is going to feel really familiar. You just state the type, in this case student, and give it a name, like student1. Simple. But how do you get to the name inside student1? For that, we use the dot operator. It's that little period right there. It lets us drill down into the struct and assign a value to a specific member. And let's just take a second to appreciate this little guy, the dot operator. Its fancy name is the class member access operator, but you can just think of it as the key that unlocks your struct. Anytime you want to get to something inside a struct, whether you're reading from it or writing to it, the dot is how you're going to do it. And here it is, all put together. We can set student1.name, student1.gpa, and student1.enrolled. And just like that, all of SpongeBob's info is perfectly organized. See how clean that is? It's all neatly bundled inside that one student1 variable. No more disconnected data. Okay, so you've got the basics down. That's awesome. But now it's time to level up. To build any real software, you're going to need to use your structs with functions. Understanding how these two things interact is absolutely essential, so let's get into it. This brings us to a really, really important question. When you take your struct variable, like our student1, and you pass it into a function, what is that function actually getting? Does it get the original real student1, or does it get something else entirely? And the answer to that question opens up probably the most critical topic we're going to cover today, the difference between pass-by-value and pass-by-reference. You can think of it as a tale of two copies, or in one case, no copy at all. Getting this right will save you from some of the most common and frustrating bugs in C++. So, first thing you need to know, by default, C++ plays it safe. It passes structs by value.
What that means is when you hand your struct to a function, the function doesn't get your original. Nope, it gets a brand new, completely separate photocopy of it.
This visual right here tells the whole story. Your original struct is sitting over here in memory. When you call the function, C++ basically runs it through a photocopier and creates a perfect duplicate somewhere else in memory. The function can do whatever it wants to that copy, change values, scribble all over it, and your original remains perfectly safe and untouched. Now this is safe, which is good, but think about the cost. If your struct was huge with thousands of members, the program has to copy all of that data every single time. That can really slow things down.
So, what's the alternative? What if you need that extra performance, or maybe you actually want the function to be able to change the original data? For that, we have to pass by reference, and we do it with this little magic symbol, the ampersand. Instead of sending a copy, you're basically just sending the function the home address of your original struct. Now look at this. It's a totally different story, right? There's no photocopier. The function gets the address and works directly on the original struct. It's like giving someone the keys to your house instead of just showing them a picture of it. Any changes they make are permanent. This is way, way more efficient because nothing gets copied. But you have to be careful, because that function now has the power to mess with your original data.
Okay, let's put it all side by side. Think of this as your cheat sheet. Pass by value, you make a copy. It's safe, your original can't be touched, but it can be slow if your struct is big. Pass by reference, you share the memory address. It's way more efficient, but the original can be modified. It's a classic trade-off between safety and performance, and you, the programmer, get to choose. So when should you use which one? Well, our source material gives us the perfect rule of thumb, and it's this. If you need to make any changes to the original, you would want to use the addressive operator. It's that simple. If the whole point of your function is to change the data, you have to pass by reference. If the function just needs to read the data, passing by value is safer, but you just got to keep that potential performance hit in the back of your mind.
And there you have it. That is the power of C++ structs. You can now go way beyond just using basic types like integers and strings. You can design your own custom data blueprints for anything you can imagine. So the real question is, what are you going to build with this new power? That's all for today.